How I view astrology is that it is the map of your soul's journey. And this includes all aspects of yourself, both the ego formation, your past lives, lessons, your purpose, your challenges, your career, your woundings, your blessings. And this is all in symbols found in your map. And the map is a still shot of the sky when you were born. Through thousands of years, we've carried on this wisdom through stories of mythology and storytelling. It's only now that it has become kind of mainstream. Before, it was passed along knowledge from astrologers to astrologer. Now we can easily Google or read some mainstream piece in a gossip magazine. It will change, of course, the depth depending on who you're listening to, and also your openness and what you're willing to accept, and of course also how much resonates for you. Because the magical thing is that astrology is a language of symbolism, and symbolism is a infinitely deep experience that does not use language in chronological order, but it communicates from imagination. So, for example, you can learn about the symbolism of Jupiter, and at first it will be very shallow. You will get some keywords and you will have associations to what it means for you. But the more you learn about astrology, the more time goes on, you will deepen your understanding. You will get more associations. You will also learn to associate different life experiences to different symbols. And this will give you a more rich understanding of the layer of what the symbolism is behind, for example, Jupiter. So this means you could study astrology for the rest of your life and discover new layers all the time. And this is what makes astrology so rich in meaning, and also what makes it so complex, because it's not something that could be right or wrong. It's something you have to feel into your body if it resonates. Someone could associate a pattern that happens in their life or some trait that they have with one symbolism in their chart, but it might not at all be that chart because they don't understand the pattern deep enough yet. Maybe they realize with time that it's not the Jupiter in the 12th house that makes them prefer being alone, but maybe it is their moon in Pisces in the 4th house. I'm using my own chart example here. So we also notice that it's not something that is closed, but it is a language that is alive. And we use the mirror that we find inside the chart to explore our inner landscape. And this is also why we can use different house systems to explore them and see which one gives us the most benefits. It's dangerous when we start to get too identified with our chart and start to blame our behavior because of our placements. It will keep you stuck. It will keep you stagnant. And the ego can easily use this as an excuse to not expand. Because an example could be you have Saturn in the 5th house and you learn about this placement and you start to get more and more awareness what this symbolism is talking about, and then you start to understand it deeper. So you understand that, okay, when I behave like this might be my Saturn in the 5th house, and then you continue on with your life and you think, maybe I won't do that thing because I have Saturn in the 5th house and that might be challenging. This is where it can get tricky and you need to look out. Because this is not at all what it means. Your ego is sneakily using the placement in order to control you. The identification with your essence reflected in the chart is looked at with one side, because it is not at all what Saturn in the 5th house means. It might be where you are currently, so you might feel restricted in the area of self-expression, but you're not stuck and frozen in time. This is just a theme and a pattern that is repeated in your life. And as time goes by, you will go from shadow aspects into higher expression if you're on a spiritual path looking to expand and get rid of conditioning. And the polarity of all the Zodiac mythologies is important to be aware of. That we can look at them all from the polarity of shadow side to higher expression. And this is what practical astrology is about. Looking at the shadows that you might be familiar with and exploring how you can go into the higher expression of the zodiac sign. Because none of the zodiac signs is better or worse. They're just different. And why they're different, I like to think about this. Like, what makes someone different? And it's basically the energy behind the patterning of the zodiac that gives you more pull. Like, there's more energy, more of a pool to adopt that certain behaviors. The energy for one zodiac might be different than for another. Let me give you an example. You might have a Libra sun, and you might have someone else that has a Gemini sun. What makes them different? They might have the same similar qualities, but since we're talking about sun signs, it's where the ego and the soul intertwine, where they shine the most, because it's the sun that's the center of your own personal solar system. That's where you get your life force. So what this would mean in the case of our example is that the Libra sun might get, if we look at energy for a percentage wise, like 0 to 100, the Libra might have more energy from search for balance, and in all aspects. So let's say it's in the shadow, it might be difficulty balancing the self with others, and therefore people pleasing. So it might be a bigger area for this person, a bigger life theme. So they might have more experiences and energy going towards this zodiac compared to the Gemini sun. Because the Gemini sun has different areas, different energies, tugging that person along. So they might have more energy in towards search for knowledge and wanting to put foot inside all the pools of all the different knowledge. So they might be more focused and prioritize information more than the Libra. So the energy is what decides the different zodiacs' prioritizations. So the symbol of the planets is what it represents. But then the zodiac is the energy behind it, how it manifests. And then the house is what area can you see it in. And all these three layers on top of each other gives us an insight to your wholeness. Why it's so important and beneficial to use astrology to get to know yourself is that most times we're split into different parts, and this happens due to conditioning. You come into the world whole, but then you get taught, depending on where you live, what the social rules are, the culture, your parents, their wounds. You get taught different rules, and those rules form your ego. And the ego's fragmentation leaves residue, and that is what we see in the chart. And this is supposed to happen because because consciousness in the world wants to experience itself in a majority of ways. And your way is what you can see in the chart. Everything has a thought behind it. Everything is planned. You're supposed to be exactly where you are.